What's up, everybody? And today we are reacting to what it takes to survive Marines 54-hour final test bootcamp. This is by Business Insider. It's called The Crucible, which is definitely something out of Destiny in PvP. But yeah, I don't know what this is. It'll be really interesting to see. I'm guessing this is something like the commando tests in the Royal Marines, so I'm going to be comparing it to that. It's also been a while since I reacted to an actual military video and compared it to my time in the Royal Marines, so I thought I'd get the OG NASA hat and Royal Marine sweatshirt out and pretend it's like when I first started reacting to these videos. But this is by Business Insider. I'll leave a link down below. Make sure you go and send them some love. I'm going to pop this up and we're going to get straight into it. Let's go.
Ah, my leg! Ah!
This Marine Corps recruit isn't actually injured.
My leg! Ah!
He's playing the role of a
Wait, let's go back.
injured.
Check this guy get some boot to the face.
He's playing the role of a wounded Marine during a
Classic.
simulated casualty evacuation.
Okay.
All of you draw faster now! Aye, sir! Yes, sir.
And his fellow recruits have to drag him inch by inch to safety.
It's not a comfortable thing to carry someone on your back and drag them through the mud.
Is that how you're supposed to, like, in the Royal Marines, you can't drag your weapon on the floor. In fact, you take your weapon, your SA-80, on the endurance course, and you have to be able to fire at the end. So dragging the rifle like this, I don't know how good that is for this particular rifle, if I'm honest with you. I don't really like that idea. We usually strap it to our backs or strap it to our chest real tight. Not sure about this.
It's not a comfortable thing to carry someone on your back and drag them through the mud. You sweat more in training, so you bleed less in combat.
I like that. Sweat more in training so you bleed less in combat. I like that.
It's part of their final test at boot camp,
So young. Holy
known
crap.
as the Crucible. A 54-hour event that all recruits must complete.
Fox, you're breaking down! Aye, sir!
Insiders spent 4 days at the Marine Corps Recruit Depot in Parris Island, South Carolina.
I'd love to go and visit one of these places and actually check out their training in person. I think it would be so interesting. I think it would make it actually a really cool video actually as well.
To chronicle one company taking on the challenge, the last step before officially becoming Marines.
So this is the final test.
The Crucible occurred
Hold on a second. Is that a chin strap or a mask? Look at that guy second to the back. What's he doing? And this guy in the front as well. You can't see because my head's in the way. The guys at the front's the same thing.
in week 11 of the Marine Corps' 13-week boot camp. The day before, recruits from the gender-integrated hotel company assemble in front of their barracks for a briefing. Although female recruits have trained at Parris Island since 1949, gender-integrated companies didn't emerge until 2019. As of January 2021, this group of recruits was the most gender-diverse company of enlisted recruits in the history of the Marine Corps.
That's awesome. That's really cool. It's nice to see a bunch of diversity in the military. I'd like to see that more in the Royal Marines. I know the Royal Marines don't have any females in right now. They're doing the band, but not in the regular Royal Marines. And I'd like to see more of it. I know they're integrating it and I know they're testing it, but it's going to take time. But I would like to see that in the future because at the end of the day, it will double the amount of people that want to join the Royal Marines. So I'd like to see that. Plus, as a side note, I've seen my wife give birth twice. She's way more nails than I am. Aren't you, Steph? She's way more nails than I'll ever be. She can get a Green Beret easy. She popped out 2 babies. One in the front room. Mental.
And among those in hotel company are a brother and sister from Georgia, 21-year-old Lázaro Cisneros and his 19-year-old sister, Myra.
My sister and me are here doing the Crucible together. We're in the same
He's 21. What, 21 going on 40? Holy crap, he's aged. What did training do to him?
company. We usually don't see each other often, but we always get like a glimpse.
Get
of
used
each
to it. You're
other.
probably not going to
It's
see each other when you
actually
get out of
motivating.
training.
Just being able to see him be there. I know that there's somebody here that knows me. He's going through this with me. He knows the pain I'm going through.
At 0200 or 2 a.m., it's lights on in the squad bays of Hotel Company.
Hit it, gun. Isaac! Lights! Get on now!
Let's go, boys.
1, 2, 3, 55! 56!
We had to rush, very stressful, thinking about how the day was going to go.
Did they all lose their voice in training? Like, all of them just lose their voice completely? We don't do that much screaming in the Royal Marines. It's mostly mental, like, head games more than anything. So there's not much screaming involved. I've gone over this before in previous videos. It's really interesting to see how different the training and culture is between the US and the UK when it comes to pressure. Pressure in the UK is a quiet pressure, a pressure of dread and knowledge of what's to come, whereas this pressure in the US is hardcore in-your-face pressure. And they're both very different and both have the pros and cons. But it's interesting to see all of them completely lose their voice. All of them. Surely that does some permanent damage on your voice, like, surely.
Recruits don their desert utility uniform.
Has he not washed that? Sorry to keep pausing it, but he has not washed them pants. He is in trouble.
Known as desert camis.
Fold the first sheet with you and your rack mate now.
They square away their racks and ready their gear, which weighs about 50 pounds. While some recruits may be smiling now, they won't be for long. After one final trip to the head, the recruits form up outside to officially begin the Crucible.
Here we go, the Crucible.
Yes, sir.
You should probably scream a lot louder.
Their first task, a long hike in the cold darkness.
Yes, sir.
Approximately 6
It's interesting to see how the, like, back in the day, I'm guessing they didn't have any lights when they did this on. Every single one of them has a light on them. I know in the Royal Marines, when you're doing this stuff, you have no lights on you at all. And it's interesting to see how far the health and safety aspect has pushed into different types of training when it comes to this, and seeing people wearing high-vis stuff when they're going on yomps or hikes or whatever you guys call it, and wearing lights and stuff, which is, I find very interesting, because that probably 4 or 5 years ago, they probably weren't wearing that stuff. So it makes you wonder what's it going to be like in the next few years. Are they going to be wearing completely high-vis with no camouflage when they do this stuff? Who knows?
6 miles in length, so nothing too arduous for the beginning, but just enough that they understand, like, hey, you're on your own. We're not getting you bussed out there. You're gonna walk out there just like you're gonna walk back.
All right, off they go. 5 hours. Still cracking on.
554. So everyone get a count for your own team.
When the sun comes up, the events of day one begin.
All right.
Corporal Dunham immediately alerted his fellow Marines to the threat.
Each Crucible event is inspired by an actual occurrence in Marine Corps history.
That's
Corporal
really,
Dunham
really
covered the
cool.
grenade with his helmet and body.
And before the event begins, the squad leader educates the group on its historical significance.
He saved the lives of at least 2 fellow Marines. All gear should be on. You are facing forward.
I'm a big fan of that. It implements a lot of core history, and lets the recruits understand why they're doing this. It's like it's becoming a tradition, and it also gives a bit of pride. It gives a bit of pride to think that if one of these recruits do something as remarkable as these previous soldiers, something like this might happen to them, and they're respected like that. I know in the Royal Marines we have all these different tests at the end of training, like the Tarzan Assault course, the 9-mile speed match, the endurance course, the 30-miler. They all have necessity behind them when it comes to historical kind of events. Like the 30-mile is very reminiscent of Royal Marines in Argentina. Sorry, not in Argentina. The Falklands War against Argentina, where they use these tactics, where they use this skill of being able to yomp for 30 miles and actually implemented it. Whereas this seems like it's the opposite way around, but it's just as cool, just as intriguing. But they're taking events and making parts of training out of it, which I think is genuinely a fantastic idea.
Light it up. 2 columns. Pick it up.
This group begins with an enhanced obstacle course.
I don't know why you're smiling when you're struggling with a simple obstacle.
Aye, sir.
Huh?
Get on the bar.
So the obstacle course is out there. They've seen it all before. It's just now we're adding a couple of more factors in there to make it more difficult.
Now they also need to safely transport 35-pound ammo cans across the course.
All right, got it.
Nice.
When recruits fail to negotiate the obstacle,
Ooh.
Let's go.
their
15
drill
burpees.
instructor orders them to do burpees,
Okay.
Whoa.
9.
and they're punished as a group.
Of course they are.
Although this recruit was able to conquer the obstacle, her
Was that
fellow
even trying?
recruits were not,
All of you get down. 15 burpees. I'm in.
so she had to pay alongside them.
Oh, got no good.
Go.
Yeah, go.
Grab onto the damn
Hold
bar.
the bar.
Wow, look, it's not that hard, correct?
I said. Yes, sir. She said.
Interesting. At what point do these recruits fail? Is it just a case of I can't do this anymore, I'm dropping out? Is that how they fail? Because obviously the commando tests, if you don't do these tests in a certain time, you're done for. You have to do them again. So it's not a case of dropping out. It's a case of not being physically fit and not being mentally fit to be able to do it. So where is the dropout part of this? Is it just literally I can't do this anymore, I'm dropping out?
I'm just gonna think about all good stuff right now. Fruit punch, Pepsi, Miami, Sunny. Yeah, we got some sun, but no heat. That's crazy.
Only 6 hours into the crucible, and tensions are starting to flare.
Yeah, you're still doing the same thing.
Sir.
Yo, you want to freaking roll your eyes at me?
No, sir.
You sure?
Yes, sir.
'Cause I literally just saw you do that.
So this kid's just rolled his eyes at an instructor. They're supposed to be at the end of training. I don't know how it works with the US training, but you in the Royal Marines you stick with the same instructors throughout the whole of the 32 weeks of training, unless you get injured or backtrooped or whatever. You keep the same instructors, so you wouldn't like. It gets to a point where you really respect them as your instructors. You really admire them, and you do anything for them. So this guy's at the end of training, he's rolling his eyes at an instructor. My days, he would get absolutely hammered in the Royal Marines. I don't know, though. This guy could have slipped through the net. You never know, do you? You never know.
No, sir.
So a lot of times they could get frustrated because they're cold, they're uncomfortable.
No, sir.
You got an attitude problem?
No, sir.
Execute the daggum training.
Yes, sir.
That's a very common thing that we see. Oftentimes the recruits just correct themselves though, because at this point, they already know what's right and what's wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Fortunately, they'll
At
soon
this
have
point,
a
it doesn't matter.
chance
They
to
should know
blow
what
off
to do.
steam
All right.
when they step inside a structure known as the Octagon.
Octagon.
This is some intensity, dude.
First,
Get her in the face!
recruits fight each other with bugle sticks.
Again.
Go on. This is what I want to see. A bit of aggression, controlled aggression. Something that they're really keen on in the Royal Marines is being able to switch on and switch off very quickly whenever you want. That's why, for the most part, when you meet Royal Marines, they're really calm and chill people. But when they have to be aggressive, they can switch it on very quickly. Controlled aggression, and that seems to be what they're practicing here. It's a very important skill.
They're tired, they're hungry, and now we're pitting them against each other. At some point, you are going to be face to face with somebody through all these conditions, and you're still going to have to be aggressive enough to win.
Penalty box. I'm sure. Get out.
I'm sure.
The winner of the bout runs through a hatch below a sign that says Devil Dogs. The loser reports to the penalty box, where they perform a series of planks and other exercises intended to motivate them to avoid returning there.
Get up, go away.
And they soon get a chance to redeem themselves.
So they head back in again. I like that. So they, at the end of the day, though, again, where is the point of losing here? There's always going to be one person at the very end of this that loses, right? There's always going to be one loser, because if they keep going and they keep fighting each other, losers come out, the losers fight each other. There's going to be a single person in the end. What happens to that last person?
All recruits face off again in one-on-one body sparring.
Yes, let's go.
I think this is a way to just kind of keep them on their toes.
Yep.
And keep them cognizant of their actions or the other person's actions.
Yeah.
Recruits are only allowed to strike the body, with no punches allowed above the neck.
Okay, makes sense.
But
It's
stray
gonna happen.
punches do sometimes land,
Yeah, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
Alright, now I gotta throw all this gear away.
and injuries can occur.
Alright, what company is this?
I mean, you get slapped in the nose. That happens all the time. Happens out at training.
Hotel company?
There's a saying in the Corps that every Marine is first and foremost a rifleman.
Yep.
Recruits spend 2 weeks devoted to marksmanship during boot camp.
Good to go?
During the Crucible, recruits combine the skills they've learned on the firing range with movement in a simulated squad attack.
Love it. Love it. So we did something like this at the end of training. We do what's called live firing, where we actually practice these drills, attacking places with live rounds. We actually do it with live rounds. We basically get our officer, we get put into different sections, and we go through a whole battle scenario with live rounds, and it gives that little bit more intensity because you might be doing a flank with rounds going over your head, and it is in training, but it's good to be able to do that. It's good to practice that before you get out on operations. Doesn't look like these guys are using live rounds, but still, I think going through the motions is just as important, and these instructors are going to be super switched on when it comes to who's doing what and who's doing, you know, right or wrong. And again, it looks like a different instructor, so I'm guessing they have different instructors for different things. Now, I said that in the Royal Marines, we do have one set of instructors that go through the whole of training with us. You have to remember, there's nowhere near as many Royal Marines going through training as there is US Marines. So they have to make a conveyor belt of instructors to pass recruits along to get through all these different things. And if anything, it helps. Say like this one instructor just does this all the time. It helps him perfect his knowledge of this scenario and also keeping an eye on who's doing good and who's bad because he sees so many people doing this one thing. Whereas in the Royal Marines, if you've got one corporal doing everything, he's got to do everything. It's like you know, being a jack of all trades. Not that that's not a bad thing, because at that point, you know that the corporals know the troops so well that they know what's happening. So again, both of them work. I think for the amount of people that are going through training in the US Marines, this works better than what the Royal Marines version is. But with the amount of people going through the Royal Marines training, that way works as well. So very interesting to see. Very interesting.
All right, so first, it's going to be cover and move. I see. All right? And then automatically you're going to movement under fire, right? If people are shooting at you, you're automatically going to go to the prone, right? You're not going to give yourself that easy target, right?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
The squads move together through a wooded area before they reach the entrance to the range.
Go ahead and send the Ramsey.
So you're going to stay tight to this tree line. You're going to run to that black tree. Go. Go. Go right here.
Oh, so they're telling them where to go. Are they actually using live rounds here?
Recruits fire blank rounds
Blank
during
rounds,
the
okay.
event, which simulates providing cover for their fellow recruits while they advance.
You're going to come back to that berm. Stay alive.
So do they go through this motion at all with live rounds? Because I feel like you should practice that before you go on operations. I feel like you should be practicing flanks and different techniques like this with actual rounds flying all over the place, because it's important to know what that feels like more than anything. When you go on, you can't have going on operations being your first time doing a section attack with live rounds. You can't do that. I mean, maybe they can. Maybe it works for them.
By
Who knows?
now, these recruits have worked up an appetite.
What is that? It's supposed to be Santa Fe
Gross.
rice and beans, but I literally don't taste the rice.
They're used to going to the chow hall, getting 3 square meals a day. Now they're going to be receiving essentially field rations, right? Our meals ready to eat MREs.
These are spicy. It's jalapeno. I know they're jalapeno.
Typically, a single MRE counts as one meal. For the Crucible, recruits have to ration 5 MREs over the course of the event.
Is this the first time they've had MREs? That's interesting as well to know that this last test is the first time trying them. there's about 6 or 7 times you go in the field in Royal Marines training, and every time you're on MREs, you're on rations every single time. Also, can we just all as a collective agree that rations, MREs, are absolutely dog shit and they need to be revamped? The British ones are terrible. I've tried the American ones, they're terrible. I mean, they're better than the British ones, but they're still not good. Why are we not getting some professional chefs in here and getting it squared away? Like, as a collective, let's agree to get this stuff squared away, because food is so important. It's so important. And when you're eating them crappy biscuit browns that stop you from pooping for a whole month, no one's happy about it. No one.
You don't put a lot of water in it and you mix it up just right. It's like pudding. It's the best pudding you will ever taste in your life. That pudding right there.
There are no naps during the Crucible. During breaks for chow, recruits are tasked with posting security. Over the course of the 54-hour event, recruits sleep only 3 to 4 hours a night.
Yes, sir.
And this is where it happens, in structures known as sea huts.
Let's go.
How tired are you right now?
For now, I have like good energy left to complete the day. I've been trying to ration my food and been trying to keep a steady mind. 3 more days before becoming Marine.
He sounds like crap. He seems like he's really hanging out. He's really struggling.
Lazaro. His day comes to a close with one of the most intense events of the Crucible.
Let's go, you gotta save his life. He's bleeding out and dying.
A simulated casualty evacuation in a combat scenario.
It only takes 40 seconds to bleed out. Listen to him. You're freaking out. You're not making the right choices.
Aye, sir.
No choice is still a choice.
Aye,
You
sir.
just stand there looking at me confused.
Aye,
He's
sir.
already bleeding out. You just helped him slow the bleeding.
Aye, sir.
You're being too slow.
Aye,
You're
sir.
not communicating.
No,
Where are
sir.
you even going? You came from this direction.
Aye, sir.
Fox, you're breaking down.
Aye, sir.
Now I know that if you ever need to help anybody, you can't even help. You can't do anything.
Aye, sir.
Because he's not okay. Because
Aye,
half
sir.
his leg just got blown off.
Aye, sir.
And he's got a tourniquet on.
Aye,
And he's
sir.
scared. And he doesn't know what's happening. Their lives are in your hands. Fox.
You'll be all right, bud. We got you.
You'll be all right, bud. You'll be all right, bud, mate. You're good. You're happy.
Let's go. Mr. Sears, let's go.
I've been learning a lot lately. Combat training, combat care. This recruit noticed that he still has a lot to learn.
Interesting.
Meanwhile,
Interesting.
Myra attempts to negotiate one of the most intimidating obstacles on Paris Island, the
Giant
30-foot-tall stairway to heaven.
Ready, step.
They always have to give it a name, don't they? We have a 30-foot wall at the end of the Tarzan assault course. We call it the 30-foot wall. That's it. You guys have this 30-foot stairway, and you have to name it the Stairway to Heaven. Like, you have to come up with a name every time, guys. Every time they come up with a fancy name. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I just think it's brilliant.
Step together.
Which all recruits must attempt without any safety equipment.
Ready, step. Step together.
I joined the Marine Corps with my older brother because of financial need. I was going to college, I needed the money, and the career I want to follow is pediatrician, so obviously I have to go to medical school for that. And I obviously thought, well, I need the money.
Needing the money because she wants to go to medical school, so she has to join the military. Guys, that breaks my heart. She wants to become a doctor. She wants to go to medical school, or at least get medical training, but she has to go into the military to do it because she can't afford it. That literally breaks my heart. That shouldn't be a thing. It really shouldn't.
And so I went to the recruiting station and I told them in the phone call, I have a brother, do you remember him? And they asked me to bring him over, so we went both together. They just convinced us and we joined.
It turns out that having a sibling in training at Paris Island isn't that uncommon. We met another pair of siblings in hotel company.
The relationship has grown stronger because at home we kind of just separated. We only played Xbox together from across the hall.
Until we came here. We knew each other, but we didn't really talk every single day like we have been for the past 3 months.
It's a pretty great feeling because whenever you think that you can't turn to someone, you can always just turn to your actual blood brother.
I don't know how I would have felt about going through training with my brother. I feel like back in the day, Steven could have probably done it. I just don't know how I feel about going through training with a brother. I feel like it's strange, you know. I knew twins who were in the same troop as each other, and one ended up getting back troop. Or one got injured actually. They both passed out of training, but I don't know. That must be really strange. That must be really strange.
They're in the rear, right? Yes, ma'am.
Tonight I'm going to basically pray a little bit for strength.
As the sun sets on day 1 of the Crucible, these recruits are in for a long night and an even longer day ahead.
All right, next day, let's go. Hour 29. I hope they got some good sleep. Cheeky Pete. Everyone wants to be the person pretending to be injured so they can just be dragged and not have to work hard.
Simulated casualties play a big part in one of the most challenging Crucible events.
What girl? I don't know.
The Battle of Hue City, named after one of the bloodiest battles of Vietnam, where an estimated 10,000 people died.
10,000 people died during that. That's horrific.
Including more than 100 Marines. Loudspeakers play sounds of gunfire and explosions to create a more realistic combat environment, along with simulated mortar explosions that occur when a spark plug ignites a combination of propane and oxygen, triggered by the push of this button.
Well, I don't want to see it.
The goal of the event is for each fire team to maneuver across the area with...
I know that in our final exercise on the field, they would use little explosives to simulate mortars and stuff like that, and IEDs and stuff. It's really cool.
All casualties and gear intact.
Hey, squad leader. Aye, sir. Yeah, he just got shot in the right shoulder. Please turn around. Aye, sir.
Drill instructors designate recruits as casualties if they fail to conceal themselves during their approach.
Yeah.
It's the responsibility of the still healthy recruits to transport the casualties.
Go on, lad. Fireman's carry,
Recruits
you
must
got it.
climb over walls, crawl through sand,
Get him through the wire now.
and barbed wire,
Get the casualty off. Get the casualty. He's bleeding out.
all while slowly moving the casualties.
I need assistance out.
Embrace the suck couldn't have been more true here. Once you embrace the suck and you look to your left and your right and you see the guys next to you doing it, it just makes you want to push even harder.
I couldn't have said it better myself. When you're in training and you see your mates going through the same crap that you're going through left and right of you, it just makes you want to go even further and push even harder. Like, it does that every time. Cheerfulness in the face of adversity and just being next to your oppos, it pushes you more than you would expect. Way more than you expect. Especially on times like the 30-miler when you're really, really struggling and you look at your mate looks at you and you're both struggling, but you're both just like Green Beret at the end of this. You can feel like you feel like Superman. You feel like you can do anything.
And some of them will crack a smile and then you'll crack a smile. And it just keeps you going, sir.
McDonald! Aye, sir! He's bleeding out! Aye, sir!
Recruits who stay healthy and who don't have to tend to casualties are free to negotiate the course, as long as they don't do anything that catches their drill instructor's attention.
That one.
The event gets even more grueling in the rain, which is where we found
She's limping. Blisters? Injury? What's that?
Myra and her squad. Thanks to a passing storm, what began as dirt quickly turned to mud.
My hip is starting to hurt and I had trouble keeping the weapon off the sand, so it was really hard this morning.
The recruits move into the woods
Hey! Jumping! Jump away!
to navigate a series of obstacles as a team,
Aye, sir.
which in the rain made things trickier for Lazaro and his squad.
It has been very exciting pushing through since like the beginning of boot camp to the end, and happy to be here with my sister, having a once-in-a-lifetime moment.
I've seen a lot of improvement in myself. I try to work on myself more than just physical.
Recruits are invited to share their personal stories in sessions called Core Values.
I've been pushing myself as much as I can, everywhere I can. And while
That's really cool. I like that. They're really just sharing their story, their personal story. And I feel like in the Royal Marines that doesn't really happen until you start to get to know your mates. And then it happens naturally. It doesn't get forced upon you like this. Sometimes this is good. And I think this is a smart move.
While I had the smarts for college, I never had the motivation. But somehow the Marines is the one thing I always had motivation for.
You know that one thing that everybody says that helps push them through? That's my mom, and that's my dad. He passed away 2 years ago, and it's been hard on her. So it's kind of hitting home that I'm here. But I can't wait to call her and be like, yo, Mom, finally did it.
I feel like I found a part of myself that I didn't have before, and I never really fit in anywhere else.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Everyone has their thing going on, don't they? It's nice to see people kind of, even though all coming from different backgrounds and different situations, whether it's positive or negative or sad or happy, they all agree with one thing, and that's that they're there to do a role in the Marines, and that's a pretty magical thing, and it brings you closer as Oppos, really.
As Day 2 winds down, all that stands between these recruits and officially becoming Marines is a 9-mile hike back to the parade deck.
All right, get it done.
For Hotel Company, the Crucible has come to an end.
That's awesome.
But one last step remains. Each recruit receives their Eagle, Globe, and Anchor emblem, symbolizing that they have officially become United States Marines.
That's cool in a nice fancy box like that. I wonder if this has been the same tradition for years. The way it works in the Royal Marines is you finish your 30-miler and you get given your Green Beret. And I remember that. I'll remember that for the rest of my life. It was one of the most emotional, exhausting, and crazy in general moments of my whole life, where I went through all this training, and it was longer than 32 weeks because I got injured. And you stood there and you can't believe it's done. You can't believe it's finished. And they pass you that Green Beret and you put it on, and that's it. And there's other things as well, like you still have a week of training after that where you do your King Squad pass out. And the exact point when you turn into a Royal Marine is when you're on that parade ground, and the very end thing is the officer says, Royal Marines to your duties. And that's the first time you get called a Royal Marine. And it's in front of all your family and friends. Gives you goosebumps thinking about it. Hell yeah. Tears of joy.
For the recruits, it's what they've been battling for these past 12 weeks, and a lot of times it's what they've wanted ever since they were a child. It is absolutely amazing to see these men and women who have fought so hard for what they want, and to finally see them achieving it.
That's awesome. It's really cool. They should be really proud. Did they get some sort of pass out like we did in the Royal Marines?
We started this together. We were going to end this together.
What did that feel like when you put that in your hand?
It felt like hope, a new future for our family.
Are you proud of her?
Yes, she has accomplished, maybe surpassed me. I'm her older brother, so I see she has grown to become a very strong woman and Marine.
I'm happy
Are
for
you guys
him.
hungry?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
How excited are you for this breakfast?
Oh, very, sir. Very excited.
While the Eagle Globe and Anchor ceremony is the most anticipated moment of boot camp, the Warriors' breakfast may be a close second.
Warriors
They're so happy to
breakfast.
be indoors at that point, and they get steak and eggs. To them, it's probably the closest thing to a home-cooked meal they could get while they're here. They're incredibly happy.
Yep. Oh, isn't he crying over his breakfast? Oh, that was good. That was really good. That was inspiring. Interesting to see their kind of final tests, comparing it to the Royal Marines. Obviously, we know the Royal Marines commando tests are more difficult. We know that. But it's all about perspective. To these people, this is the hardest thing they've ever done. To the Royal Marines, it's the hardest thing they've ever done. And you can't take that away from them. That amazing experience of finishing training at the end and getting your, I don't know what you call it over here, I forgot what you called it, your anchor, your globe and anchor. In the Royal Marines, we call it the globe and laurel. When you get that and you get your green beret at the end of training, it's something that you honestly never forget for the rest of your life. Fantastic video. Really enjoyed that, and I enjoyed reacting to some military stuff again. It's been a long time. Let me know in the comments if you would like me to react to more military stuff like this, because it has been a while. And even though I do like doing the SCP, Star Wars, Halo, and all that good stuff, it's nice to kind of track back and do some of the OG stuff as well. Members, you're amazing. I love you. I couldn't do this without you. I honestly couldn't make videos every single day if it wasn't for you members. So thank you for supporting the channel as much as you do. I truly appreciate it. Links down below to my socials, including the 2 links to Discord. We've got the military link for all things military. If you want to get fit, you want to join the military, the whole shebang, go and join the military Discord. And then we've got the Geek Discord for all things SCP, Halo, Metro, D&D, Star Wars, all that good stuff. Join the Geek Discord. Also, a link down below to my podcast and my Twitch stream, where I stream Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Really cool announcement. Mondays are now going to be dedicated to strictly military streams. That's going over fitness for the military, basically like a live Q&A. You can talk to me about whatever you want. We can react to some military stuff on there. We can maybe play some military games, but Mondays are dedicated to me and you guys playing and reacting and talking all things military. And if you can't catch the streams, they will get uploaded a few days later onto my second channel, Original Human Geek. Don't know whether I'm going to upload the military ones onto that one yet. I might upload them onto this channel. I'm not too sure yet. So definitely go and check that out. And obviously, I'll leave a link down below to the original video. Go and share some love over there. Subscribe and like the video because it was brilliant. Until next time, guys, I love you all. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.